Of course. Here is an authentic and attractive story for you. The Keeper of the Everflame. In the northern realm of Eldoria, where winter was not a season but a state of being, Princess Elara felt the weight of her crown more keenly with each passing December day. At 20, she was no longer the child who believed the palace's grandeur was magic enough. The upcoming Yuletide ball, a spectacle of glittering ice sculptures and frosted silver, felt to her like a beautifully wrapped, empty box. Her father, King Theron, was a good man, but a practical one. "People need spectacle, Elara," he'd say, his breath misting in the always chilled throne room. "They need to see our wealth and warmth. It gives them hope." But Elara saw the truth from her tower window. Hope wasn't a spectacle. It was a flicker in the dark. In the village below, the lanterns seemed fewer this year, the smoke from the chimneys thinner. Quiet dread, a fear of the deepening cold, had settled over Eldoria. The ancient magic that once warmed their land was fading, and no amount of royal feasting could reignite it. 2 nights before the solstice, unable to sleep, Elara wrapped herself in a simple wool cloak of deep green, indistinguishable from those worn by the villagers. She slipped through a forgotten postern gate, the one hidden behind a tapestry of the first king, and descended into the sleeping town. The air was biting, but alive with the scent of pine and baking bread. She followed the sound of a low, melodic hum to a small woodcarver's shop, its window glowing with a soft, buttery light. Inside, an old woman with hands like gnarled birch roots was polishing a delicate bird figurine. "You're out late, child," she said without looking up. Her voice was like the crackle of a hearth fire. "I couldn't sleep," Elara admitted, stepping inside. The shop was a sanctuary of carved creatures and swirling wooden mobiles. "Palace, it feels so distant from all this." The woman, who introduced herself as Anya, finally looked at her. Her eyes were milky with age, but they saw everything. "The palace is made of stone. This," she said, gesturing to a simple wreath of holly and dried citrus on her door, "is made of heart. Stone preserves, but the heart must create. That is the true magic of the season. It is why the Everflame dims." Lara's breath caught. The Everflame was an old legend, a mystical fire said to have been lit by the first queen at the heart of the Whispering Wood. It was believed its light nurtured the land through the winter. Most, including her father, considered it a fairy tale. "You believe it's real?" Elara whispered. "I believe that stories don't survive centuries without a seed of truth," Anya replied. She told Elara of the tradition that had been lost. On the winter solstice, a member of the royal family would journey into the wood not to take, but to give. They would bring an offering, something of profound personal meaning, to feed the flame's spirit, not its fire. The next day, the palace was a whirlwind of preparation, yet Princess Elara was absent. In her chambers, she dismissed her maids and opened an old cedar chest. She bypassed jewels and silks until her fingers found what they sought, a clumsily carved wooden star. She had made it with her mother, the late queen, years ago. It was priceless to her and worthless to anyone else. It was perfect. That night, as the grand ball commenced, its music a faint echo in the distance, Elara once again stole away. This time, she walked past the village towards the dark, silent expanse of the Whispering Wood. The trees were ancient, their branches holding the snow like careful hands. She was afraid, but a new determination, warm and solid, burned in her chest. Deep in the wood, she found it. Not a roaring blaze, but a small, crystalline brazier set in a circle of frost-veiled stones. Within it, a single weak ember pulsed with a faint blue light. It was the Everflame, dying. Kneeling in the snow, her fine gown soaking through, Elara didn't pray for her kingdom's wealth or her father's approval. She thought of the woodcarver's warm shop, the baker waking before dawn to knead his dough, the children trying to find the brightest star. She thought of her mother's laughter. "I offer this not for glory, but for them," she whispered to the ember. "I offer a memory of love to nurture yours." She placed the wooden star into the brazier. For a terrifying moment, nothing happened. The ember flickered, seeming unchanged. Then a single brilliant spark leapt from the center and touched the star. The wood did not burn, it glowed, melting into a liquid gold light that flowed over the ember. The flame erupted. It was not a fire of heat, but of pure, brilliant light. It painted the snow in shades of gold and rose, and for a moment Elara felt a warmth that had nothing to do with temperature and everything to do with belonging. The trees seemed to sigh, and a gentle wind, carrying the scent of spring soil and blooming frost flowers, swept through the wood. When she returned to the palace, the ball was ending. No one had missed her. She stood on her balcony, looking down at the village, and then she saw it. One by one, the lanterns in the windows seemed to burn brighter. The air itself felt softer, less biting. A collective sigh of relief seemed to rise from the land. Next morning, King Theron joined her on the balcony, marveling at the change in the air. A remarkable thaw, he mused. The ball must have raised everyone's spirits tremendously. Elara simply smiled, her hand closing on a new, perfectly carved wooden star that had been left on her windowsill. She knew the truth. The magic of Christmas wasn't in the spectacle or the stone. It was in the quiet, courageous choices of the heart. It was in the giving of something precious, not for reward, but for love. And she, the keeper of the Everflame, would ensure that tradition was never lost again.